Hi everybody, and it's Saltash Math Tutor, and the subject of today's video, everybody, is improper fractions, or as you may know them, top-heavy fractions. But first, if there's an improper fraction, which remember is the top-heavy one, what is a proper fraction? Well, simple diagram here hopefully will illustrate this for you. And if we have a whole thing, then we break it up, then we would have, in this case, this would be a quarter. So that would be a quarter. And then we would have, I'm going to change colour here, we would have a quarter, and we'd add another quarter. And so a quarter is, as you can probably see from this bit here, a half. And we go on and on and on. And so we'd end up, well, if I have another quarter, then I have, let's put the quarter in here, then I have 3 quarters, and then as you all know, we would end up eventually with the whole thing, which would be 4 quarters, which is equal to 1. So let me just reiterate that, because I'm going to say something in a second here, which hopefully will lead us to what an improper fraction is. That if I just have a quarter of something, it's a quarter. If I have 2 quarters, then as you can probably see from this, 2 quarters are a half. If I have another quarter, then that would be 3 quarters. And then finally, if I have 4 quarters, which I'm just going to squeeze in here, 4 quarters, well, we know that that actually equals 1. But what happens, and so let me just also say that these are all proper fractions. And one way of describing that would be that the top is always bigger than the bottom, or the numerator is always smaller than the denominator. So I've got 1 over 4 here. I've got 1 which is smaller than 2. I've got 3 which is smaller than 4. I suppose the oddity though is when we get to 4 over 4, because we know that that actually equals the 1 or the whole. And more importantly, what if I had a quarter there? How many quarters would I have? Well, what I would have is 5 quarters, which we know is 1 plus a quarter, which equals 1, and I've just added on another quarter. So here we go. This is this concept then that we've got, say, 5 quarters, and this is the improper fraction. It's improper, or as you may have heard it called at school, top heavy. It's because the numerator is larger than the denominator, and from the diagram I just showed you, it must mean that it's more than 1. So I'm going to ask myself the question, what is 11/8? Well, each one of these little sections here is an eighth. So there's 1/8. There's 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. 8/8. And we know, either by looking at this picture or by simplifying this, because 8 divided by 8 is 1, that equals 1. So that's 8/8. Now all I'm going to do here is keep on counting 8/8. That's 9/8, 10/8, 11/8. But if we were to ignore for a second that, then we would have 3/8. So suddenly we realised, I'll just get rid of the 8/8 there, and let's pick that up and move it to there. and let's pick that up and just tidy that up there. And in fact, 11 over 8 equals 1 3/8. Well, is there a simpler way of doing this? Well, if we look at 11/8 again, what we could say, because what we saw in the last one, that 8/8 equaled 1. And then how many 8s did we have left over? In other words, we're saying, how many times does 8 go into there? Well, it goes in once. And how many 8s did I have left over? Well, I had 8, 9, it was 9, 10 and 11. There were 3 8s left over. How about something like 11 quarters? Well, I'm going to ask myself that question. How many times does 4 go into 11? Well, it goes in, 4 goes once, 2 4s are 8. I can't do 3 4s because that would be 12. So therefore 4 goes into 11 twice. And how many have I got left over? Well, I have got, with 8, that's 9, 10, 11, I've got 3 quarters left over. And that is what 11 quarters are. And I can prove this if you like, or just check it just by having, here's 3 really badly drawn shapes, but each one of these is a quarter, as hopefully you can see. And now I know I've got 11 quarters, and I'm just going to count them off. So I've got 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters, which I know is 1, 5 quarters, 6 quarters, 7 quarters, 8 quarters, which is another whole. So that's 8, 9 quarters, 10 quarters, 11 quarters. And from just looking at this, I can see that that's 3 quarters. So what have I got all together? Well, 1 and 1 is 2, that's the whole numbers. And what have I got left over? It's 3 quarters. Now how about if I want to look at this type of number, which actually is called a mixed number. Mixed number because we've got a fraction and we've got a whole number. In other words, it's a mix of 2 numbers. How can I do that? Well, you remember that when we don't want to use that, people. When we had 11 over 4, it was how many times did 4 go into 11? Well, this is just the undoing of that, if you like. And instead of, as I did in this case here, looking at how many times did 4 go into 11, in other words 11 divided by 4, this time I just multiply 4 by 1 and then I add it to 3. So if I do that, then I get 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 7, so that makes 7 over 4. Now what I could do is to check that. I could go through that procedure of unchecking by undoing it. So let's see what 7 over 4 looks like on my diagram. So each one of these here is a quarter. So I've got 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters, which is 1, 4, 5 quarters, 6 quarters, 7 quarters, which is 3 over 4. 1 3 quarters, which is what I started out with. So here is an exam question. Write 10 over 3 as a mixed number. And so what do we do? Well, we have a look at the 10 over 3. What do I need to do? Oh yeah, so 10, that's a rubbish colour, everybody. Let's go black. So 10 over 3, I just want to know how many times does 3 go into 10? Well, that's 3, 2 3s are 6, 3 3s are 9, so it goes in 3 times, and what have I got left over? It's a third. And that is it, everybody. There's nothing more to it than that. So I hope that's been of some help to you. Improper fractions, just remember, or top-heavy fractions, just remember they're a fraction, and you can break them down into whole numbers. And if you can't do the maths bit, well, have a go at using a diagram like I've shown you how to do. I hope that's been of some help. Any questions, then post them up, like as appropriate. Thanks very much. Bye.